2014 has been an up and down year for gaming. The next gen is now the current gen and the last gen is starting to slowly dry up. PC gaming has also seen a pretty strong showing this year, but generally this year has been pretty unremarkable. Without further ado, let me introduce to you my top games of 2014. Number 10, Among the Sleep. Among the Sleep on PC really struck me when I played it earlier this year as a game like I had not really experienced before. A sort of survival horror toddler sim with a dark narrative and interesting plot twists made this a game that I wholeheartedly recommend. While it wasn't perfect, its charm and atmosphere made this what I consider to be an excellent game overall. Number 9, The Evil Within. One of the few AAA-ish titles that I have generally really enjoyed this year, a new entry in the Resident Evil series in all but name. This is the game that Resident Evil 5 really should have been. With some excellent set pieces and a decent story, this really was the survival horror game of the year, and definitely well deserving of its place in my top 10. Number 8, The Binding of Isaac Rebirth on PlayStation Vita. Now, for this entry I am listing specifically the PlayStation Vita version. Now, the remake of Binding of Isaac is a fantastic update to a fantastic game that I've really enjoyed this year and I'm still playing now. But the reason that I am singling out the Vita version of the game especially is mainly due to the fact that the short nature of the game is absolutely perfect for portability. Now, I've played this game on a train, I've played it sat on the toilet, and I've played it in a doctor's waiting room, just to name a few, and every time I can't wait to play it again. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a great game on all platforms, but the Vita version truly makes it into my Game of the Year list. Number 7, Dragon Age Inquisition. A relative latecomer this year, but a game that has really sucked me in. This is by far my favourite Dragon Age game for the same reason that some people are not quite as keen. Inquisition is essentially a single player MMO, but it's a very, very good one. And it definitely lays the groundwork for a future perhaps Dragon Age MMO that could very well be successful. Add to the fact that it's very, very long and you're getting a lot of game for your money, and you have an epic game well worth your time in 2014 and obviously going forward. Number 6, South Park and the Stick of Truth. Now, when I heard they were making a South Park game, I was sceptical. I remember what those N64 games were like back in the day, and they were pretty shoddy. Anyway, I eventually played it, and oh my god was this game good. For fans of the series, it is an absolute must play, and a fun game in its own right. Everything is nailed perfectly, and it really feels like playing an episode of the TV show. By far one of the best TV adaptations of all time, and definitely one of my Game of the Year. Number 5. Bayonetta 2. Now, Bayonetta 2 was on my review list for months, and among other things I never ever got round to doing a full review of the game, even after recording hours and hours of footage. But even still, Bayonetta 2 makes my list as a shining example of the spectacle fighter genre. Improving in almost every way in the original, this game really is all style and all substance. The only thing stopping this from being my absolute Game of the Year is a slightly weak story and a relatively short running time. But all in all, this is an unbelievably good game you 100% owe yourself to play. In fact, to be honest, buy a Wii U for it. There's other Wii U stuff on this list, so definitely go out and do that right now. Number 4, Mario Kart 8. Another console, another Mario Kart game, but this is actually probably the best home console Mario Kart game in a long time. Now, don't get me wrong, in recent years I've really liked the portable Mario Karts, but this is helped along perfectly by the zero G tracks that the game really keeps you and drags you in with. Helped along by the excellent DLC, this is the game to get in a room with a whole bunch of friends and play. Definitely one of the best family games and a fantastic showcase of how good the Wii U really can be. Number 3. The Last of Us Left Behind. Now, this is the DLC. I'm not including The Last of Us, that was a last year game. I know they did a remake this year, but I'm talking about The Last of Us Left Behind. and this is the only time I can ever really recall where I preferred the DLC to the main game. The Last of Us Left Behind pretty much hit everything and hit every nerve going, with the outstanding juxtaposition of two stories from Ellie's time hunting for antibiotics in the snow and her life leading up to being bitten. This game is relatively short in length, but it really brought me into the world and made me feel for the characters like I don't think I have in any other game for a really long time. It's an outstanding piece of storytelling and one of the best games of the year, and one that you need to pick up even if you don't necessarily feel that attached to the characters. It's really worth playing. Number 2, Warlords of Draenor. Now, at the end of Mists of Pandaria, my interest in World of Warcraft had waned slightly. A once seasoned player clocking in over 300 days of game time over the last 10 years, I thought my time in Azeroth had really finally come to an end. Then the Warlords of Draenor came out, and I was met with by far the best WoW expansion in years. The perfect mix of new and old, this game grabs you and never really lets you go. A truly wondrous expansion, and definitely my second best game of 2014, really only beat out by its own creators. Number 1, Hearthstone. Never has a game made me enjoy competitive multiplayer before. I am for all instances and all purposes a single player or PvE gamer, preferring to fight computers and scripted storylines rather than forge my own battles against other players. But in 2014, Hearthstone has changed all of that. Taking the best bits from a number of other card games and combining them in an easy to play, difficult to master competitive card game that has stolen countless hours from me this year. An excellent iPad version only serves to make me more addictive, as I can now play it into the wee hours in bed with my wife asleep next to me. The very good, excellent Naxxramas adventure and the absolutely superb Goblins and Gnomes expansion has only served to keep this game fresh, and I cannot wait to see how the game progresses into 2015. And this means that Hearthstone is 100% my game of the year. To summarise, 2014 has been a good year for games, but it's kind of been pretty atypical and there hasn't really been lots going on. But what really strikes me is how none of these games are exclusive to the two big consoles. Blizzard's PC business is going strong, and Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch set to continue that next year. And the Wii U really has been an excellent console this year, and most of the other games on this list can also be found on PC. Next year, with some big hitters coming out the door, only time will tell if the two main consoles can step up to the plate. Roll on 2015. For the next 2 months in our Steam group, we will be giving away free Steam keys every week exclusive to members. And if you've enjoyed our video, please bookmark our site, thegametutor.co.uk, and come check us out on Facebook, Twitter and Dailymotion.